ready to fly.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Art, and I am back up here with the second Q&A on the channel since the relaunch. I want to apologize for it being late. I've come to make a decision about these, by the way. Going forward, I'm not going to do them every month. I'll probably do maybe 3 or 4 a year. So, I'm not going to do one next month, but when I do a Q&A for the foreseeable future, I will post about it on my community tab, and I will have you guys ask me questions there. So, hopefully you guys understand, like, my life is pretty hectic, and I don't get a lot of time to do stuff like this anymore like I used to. While I also do all of the other reviews, my personal life is a lot more hectic now, and I just don't have the time to do these as much as I would like to. But I'm going to do them every once in a while. So, like I said, just keep a lookout on the community tab for those posts about Q&As, and we'll go about it from there. I want to thank everybody for their questions, so let's get right into those. The first 2 questions are from JS Pokemon. Thank you, sir. Your first question is, what are the most underrated and most overrated wrestling events of all time? I actually had to look through all my old reviews and come up with some. In terms of underrated, this one might shock some people, I know, but an underrated show, most underrated show, WCW Greed, 2001. Is it a great show? No. Is it even a very good show? No. But for 2001 WCW to give us any good matches, let alone 4 on a pay-per-view, is pretty damn good. You've got the Cruiserweight Tag Team Championship Finals. You've got Shane Helms and Chavo Guerrero for the Cruiserweight title. You've got Jason Jett, also known as Easy Money in ECW, against Kiwi, Alan Funk. And you've got the main event, which was DDP and Scott Steiner for the world title. Not the best WCW show ever, but for 2001 WCW, for them to actually put in the effort, even if it was a dying ship, hell of a show, in my opinion, for 2001 WCW. And overrated, it's No Mercy 2002. I know what you're going to say. Art, didn't you have 2 5-star matches on that card? I did. The WWE Tag Title Finals and Lesnar Taker in the Cell. You're right. Look at the rest of that card. Dawn Marie versus Tori Wilson. Ooh. Triple H and RVD. Or no, it was Triple H and Kane. RVD was at Unforgiven. Triple H and Kane. And fucking, what was the other one? Just the card overall was trash. Besides the 2 5-star classics. But does that make it a good show? No. No, it doesn't. It makes it one of the most overrated pay-per-views ever. The most overrated for me. And your second question is, who is the worst booker in wrestling of all time? WrestleSpective just put out a video about this. I'll link it down below if you haven't seen that video or his channel. Herb Abrams of the UWF, Mr. Electricity, Mr. Snort the Powder, the original Snowman before Tony Khan. I'm sorry. Herb Abrams. If you don't know, watch the video. You'll learn more than enough. Holy fuck. Jeez. But thank you for the questions, my man. Next two questions are from Andre64. Thank you for helping me make sure I pronounce your name right in the last Q&A. Your first question is, out of these 3 decades for promotions, how would you rank 90s All Japan, 2000s Noah, and 2010s New Japan? Wow. From least best, I guess, to most best, I'm using air quotes, I would probably go 2000s Noah, 2010s New Japan, and 1990s All Japan. All Japan in the 1990s put on some of the best fucking pro wrestling matches ever. So, 1990s All Japan, I don't think will ever be topped in terms of a decade for a promotion. And your second question, who in your opinion is the wrestling GOAT from a certain year/period? For example, Chris Jericho in 2008 to 2010, Kenny Omega in 2016 to 2018, etc. Both of those are very good options. For me, I will definitely get hate from some people for this. Will Ospreay from 2022 and 2023 is my wrestling GOAT. The shit this guy pulled off in the past 2 years, okay? When New Japan was in a downturn, a lot of people would probably put the blame on him. You can't. He did everything he could to keep that company going. Which, if you've been watching, they're falling down. They're not what they were a few years ago. But Will Ospreay worked his ass off to try and keep that company afloat. He has been everywhere not named WWE over the past 2 years. And he's put on bangers in every promotion he's been in. Some of which you can see on the screen right now. Fucking amazing. The Billy Goat, as he calls himself. Deserved. Fucking deserved. What a guy. What a... Ooh. I love Will Ospreay, dude. Thank you for your questions, though. I appreciate them. Next set of questions are from AGC. Thank you. Your first question is, what's the first match you would show to someone who wants to get into wrestling? Once again, I sat down and I thought about this for a little bit, and my answer is Bryan Danielson versus Nigel McGuinness from Ring of Honor's Unified. I believe it was 2007. I believe it was. In terms of technical wrestling, I don't think I've seen a better match than this one. That's a bold statement from me, but I think I could say that with all sincerity. Like, that match, it unified the world and title and the pure title. And it one of the best matches, not only in UK history, but in wrestling history. Fantastic match. And your second question, what is, from front to back, start to finish, the best calendar year any promotion has ever had? That's tough, man. If I really sit down and think about it, for me, I say 1997 WWF. The real birth of the Attitude Era, okay? The start of the year wasn't great, but it planted the seeds that would lead to the massive boom starting at the end of the year, heading into 98 and 99 and 2000, with guys like Austin, Rocky Maivia, The Rock, The Undertaker, Kane showing up in October, Mick Foley, Mankind, just, Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. All of this was the catalyst for the Attitude Era. And 1997 had some of the greatest wrestling matches in WWE history. Okay, 1998, you can't really say that. 99, can't really say that. Even 2000, can't really say that. 97 was a pivotal year for the WWF. If they didn't pull out all the stops with all their stories in 97, they might not exist today. Wrestling as we know it might not exist today. So, that's my answer. What's your guys' answer? Leave it in the comments below. Thank you for the questions, man. I appreciate it. Next pair of questions are from Brian. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. Your first question is, who do you think will be the breakout star in 2024 for pro wrestling? This was the easiest one for me to pick, for me to answer. Trick Williams. After hearing the ovation he got when he showed up randomly on SmackDown, 15,000 people chanting, "Whoop that Trick!" That's all I needed to hear. A lot of NXT call-ups don't get a reaction like that. He did. He was unannounced. Nobody knew he was going to be there. Nobody had any inkling he was going to be there. And he got that reaction from the casual WWE audience. Not a lot of WWE casuals watch NXT. So for him to get that reaction, that's all I needed to hear. He's going to break out this year. He's probably going to beat Mello at Stand and Deliver. He's going to work his way to the NXT title. He'll probably win it at Battleground or something. And I see him holding the belt until next Stand and Deliver, at least. Trick Williams is that dude. Okay? Trick Williams is going to break out this year. I promise you. If he doesn't, hand on heart, I'll admit I was wrong. But he is the one. He is the one. And your second question, who do you think will be the world champions in WWE and AEW in a year? For WWE, I think Cody Rhodes will be the champion. I think he finishes the story finally, and I think he holds on to that belt for a little while at least. Maybe he'll lose it and then win it back, but I think in a year's time, come next February, I think he's the champion going into WrestleMania. So, as for the World Championship, I think CM Punk is going to win the World Championship when he comes back. I don't know why. I feel it. I have that feeling. As far as AEW World Champion, if it's not Swerve Strickland, then Tony Khan really does use the nose candy. Because you got to be on something not to put that belt on your hottest star while he's the hottest he's ever been. Swerve should be the champion. I hope he wins it at Revolution, and I hope he holds it for a while, because he's the best thing in AEW besides Hangman Page. So there you go. Thank you for the questions, though. I appreciate it, my guy. Next two questions are from Y2J Fanboy. Thank you so much, my guy. Your first question is, what are your thoughts on AEW's production quality? Do you think it holds them back compared to the WWE? To answer your first question, yeah. I think AEW's production quality is solid in terms of their pre-tapes, their video packages. They're very good. Very, very good. They encompass the storylines very well. The lighting, the camera angles, how all that works. It's kind of like the alternative to WWE. It's very gritty. It's very, gritty. That's the only word I can think of to describe it. It's very solid, but it's nowhere on WWE's level. And I don't think they're trying to be, but there are a lot of things that go wrong with AEW a lot. Do I think it holds them back? Absolutely. You've got random camera cuts, technical issues with audio and video, things cutting out, random black screens coming up sometimes. Just a lot of technical errors that, quite honestly, you don't see on WWE much. Is WWE perfect? No, but AEW, I understand they're still a relatively new company, but you think they would have worked out those issues by now. So. And your second question is, what are AEW's biggest strengths and weaknesses right now? Okay. Strengths. One really good strength for AEW is the depth of their talent roster. Their roster is so big that you have the option, or you have the option to do so many different matches that nothing feels the same week to week. You're getting somewhat fresh matches all the time. Is that to say that there aren't matches that are being done to death over the course of a few months? No, I mean, it's bound to happen. You're going to get some of the same guys working with each other multiple times over a certain period. But as deep as that roster goes, no two shows week to week feel the same. Also, their open door policy when it comes to working with other promotions. They've worked with Impact, even though that didn't really work out good for Impact. They've worked with Impact, AAA, CMLL, Tokyo, was it Tokyo Joshi Pro? What's the other? New Japan. How can I forget? They've got a joint pay-per-view they do every year with New Japan. So their willingness to bring in outside talent from other promotions and have them work with the homegrown talent, the AEW roster, is something that I find really intriguing, and I wish more companies would do that. I really do. Like, WWE flirted with it, having Jordan Grace in the Women's Rumble, but that seems like it's going to be a one-off thing, and I wish it wasn't. I wish WWE would work with other promotions more, but they're in it for the money. They're not in it for helping the smaller companies, and that's a damn shame. In terms of weaknesses, even though they've seemed to have been on a bit of an upswing lately, the women's roster is still booked like crap. It really is. Outside of like 4 or 5, maybe 6 women, the women's roster feels the same as it has for the last 2 or 3 years. Like the same, like I said, the same 5 or 6 women seem to always win their matches. They always seem to be at the top, where, you know, certain other women who are just as good are doing jobs for these women that have been on top for 3 years, and they haven't really moved the needle like Tony Khan probably thinks they have. Not to say that they're not trying, but, you know, you gotta give other women chances to shine, you know? But that'll come into something I just thought of, which is another weakness to me: predictable outcomes for matches. Not just in the women's division, but across all AEW. As you see on the screen, these matches happen on a weekly basis. These 4 matches you see on the screen are just from the first 2 months of this year. Okay? And at no point during any of these 4 matches did I think anybody other than the star that's being pushed had a shot. You see the Workhorsemen. You see JD Drake. You see Toa Leona. At no point did I think they had a shot against their opponent. None. Absolutely not. That's the same for the women, too. I don't even want to go there. So, I already talked about the women enough. So that's that. And then one more weakness: too many shows. Too many damn shows. Too much overexposure. You've got Dynamite, Rampage, Collision. Sometimes you have Battle of the Belts. And now, apparently, Tony Khan wants to do more, like 8 to 10 pay-per-views every year instead of the 4, which made AEW feel special for the first 4 years. Like, why are you booking more pay-per-views? You don't need more pay-per-views. You were doing just fine with the 4 or 5 you had. Why? Like, it's your company, do what you want, but Jesus fucking Christ, man. Too much. Too much. Anyway, thank you for the questions, my man. I appreciate it. Next 2 questions are from Schwartz Center. I just realized that's a playoff of Sports Center. Jesus Christ, am I slow? Thank you for the questions, brother. It's 12:30 at night, and I just realized that. Anyway, your first question is, what do you say to people that say, you know wrestling is fake, right? That kind of thing. Similarly, how would you describe pro wrestling or explain it to someone if you were trying to get them into it / to understand it? In terms of someone asking me, you know wrestling is fake, right? If someone would ask me that, I'd be like, yeah, your favorite TV show and movie is fake too. It's all scripted entertainment. It's a soap opera mixed with Cirque du Soleil. It's real life superheroes duking it out every week. The only difference is it's all predetermined. They know what's going to happen ahead of time. Doesn't mean that they're not taking the damage in the ring. It's not like they're not really getting injured. They're stuntmen, they're athletes, they're entertainers, they're superstars. Wrestling is no different than what you see on the screen. It's no different than Game of Thrones. It's no different than the MCU. It's no different than Disney at points. It's the best of entertainment all wrapped into one. The athleticism of sports, the soap opera aspect of the storylines, real life superheroes, anything you can imagine wrestling having, it does, probably. Wrestling is a great fucking thing. And for people to say, oh, it's fake, is doing the wrestlers, the athletes who bust their ass over 300 nights a year for our entertainment, it's doing them a disservice. And anybody who ever says wrestling is fake, I would love to see you go and try and do what these wrestlers do for just one match. You wouldn't be able to do it. You'd be in so much pain, you'd be crying to your mama. Okay? So think about that next time you hear somebody say, oh, wrestling's fake, right? Remember that, and you can use it on them. I'll let you take my rant and use it on them. And your second question is, I wonder if you could break down your thought process behind star rating matches. What goes into it for you? How do you decide what to give a match? Well, I start out giving every match 5 stars for 5 categories. Build up to the match, the build up leading to the match, the star power involved, or the two people wrestling, people that the fans are actually giving a shit about. The 3 is the crowd reaction. Are the crowd sitting on their hands, bored out of their skull, or are they cheering and going fucking nuts the entire time? Or somewhere in between? Never know. It all depends. 4 is in-ring action. The way the moves all interconnect, mixed in with some high spots, getting the crowd involved, all of that mixed in to in-ring action. And then number 5, the outcome of the match. Did the right person go over? Did it send the crowd home? Did it send the crowd home happy? Did it make the fans happy? All of that mixes in there too. And a bonus 6 category. Sometimes it's personal preference, whether I enjoy it personally or not. But that really doesn't really go into it much. But sometimes it does. Sometimes I tend to overrate matches when I first see them. But I have gone back over time and changed that at certain points. But for the most part, I feel like I'm unbiased when I do my ratings for matches. But that's how I go about it. I would love to know how you guys rate matches. Are you similar to mine? Are you not? Leave how you rate them down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well. Thank you. And thank you, my guy, for your questions. Next set of questions are from MOB. He says, hey, thanks for doing my questions, bro. No problem. And yes, my username's an acronym, LMAO. But as far as the next month's questions go, Your first question is, what are some of wrestling's biggest what-if wrestlers who had the potential to be something special, but sadly never fully reached that potential? As you can see on the screen, I picked 4 names that I really, really wish were bigger than they actually were. Number 1 with a bullet, Sean O'Hare. That devil's advocate gimmick should have been his ticket to main event status. He looked like a superstar. He talked like a superstar. He wrestled like a superstar. But for some reason, I guess Vince didn't like him. I don't know. But he never reached his potential. And sadly, he's no longer with us. He took his own life, if I remember correctly, a few years back. And it sucks, because he was awesome. Kind of reminded me of a younger version of a Batista. Like, if he were to shave his, or cut his hair like Batista did back in 03, 04, they would have looked kind of like brothers to me. But maybe I'm just seeing things. Then we got Ken Shamrock. Now, I know a lot of people are like, what? Ken Shamrock? A what if? What? Shamrock had a lot of success. He was the king of the ring. He was Intercontinental Champion, Tag Champion, Hardcore Champion. Well, I think Hardcore Champion. I don't remember. He was the NWA Champion. He was the first NWA Champion in the TNA era. What do you mean, a what if? If he had come up just 5 years earlier than he did, 92, 93, I think Ken Shamrock could have been bigger than Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels. I really do. With his background, he could have been a killer. He could have been what Taz was in ECW 2-3 years before Taz. But unlike Taz, he actually had some kind of muscle and size. He wasn't, 5'6", looking like an Oompa Loompa. He actually looked like a bad motherfucker. He could have been so much bigger than he was. And I hate it that he wasn't. Then you got Tajiri, as the OSW boys call him, Tadgers. He was a phenomenal wrestler. Still is. I believe he's still wrestling over in Japan. But he just was never given a chance to be the killer heel that I know he could have been. Because they teased us with it in 2003 when he was a Cruiserweight champion. When he had the pseudo Yakuza guys, Akio, and what was his name, Sakota or whatever, came out in the suits with him, like his own Yakuza clan members. Holy shit. He should have been the biggest cruiserweight they had. They should have cared about the cruiserweights more, but he was so good. He was so good and he deserved better. And the final name, Too Cold Scorpio. This brother was amazing in the ring. He had some of the most he had some hidden gems that a lot of people don't talk about. And he was so charismatic. He was so fun to watch in the ring. He was doing stuff that wrestlers wouldn't be doing for another 3-4 years in mainstream wrestling. With his high-flying ability. And just, he was so good that I don't understand why he wasn't used more, especially in the WWF. They made him into a stereotypical, African-American, jive dancer. He had his funkettes or whatever the fuck their names were. He was dressed like a moron. How do you... I'm gonna relax. those four guys are some of my biggest what ifs. They were extremely popular. They were extremely talented. Should have been bigger than they were. And your second question is, who is a wrestler that is considered one of the all-time greats that you personally never really found special? Please don't hate me for my answer. It's all personal preference. If you love this guy, I understand. But I just really never understood what is so special about Rody Piper. I understand what I just said. I understand what I just said. I never understood what was so great about Rody Piper. He was a great talker for his time, but if you listen to that man talk, he would ramble on and say the most nonsense bullshit. And people would fucking eat it up. You would think he was fucking Rock during the Attitude Era or something. You would think he was LA Knight now. Holy shit. Actually sit and actually listen to what Roddy Piper said for the majority of his interviews. And you'll either be offended by something he said, or you'll be like, what the fuck is he talking about? And not to mention, outside of a handful of matches, he just wasn't good as a wrestler. I can't be the only one to think that, right? I cannot be the only one to think Roddy Piper was just an average wrestler with above average mic skills for his time. I can't be the only one that thinks this, right? Right? Like I said, I hate to say it, but goddamn. I'm not going to lie to people. I just never found Roddy Piper that special. Anyway, man, thank you for the questions. Sorry I rambled on there about that, by the way. Those were good questions. They got me heated up, you know. It got me fired up. But thank you for your questions. Next set are from Matthew Drake. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Let's see. Seeing as we're getting close to Rumble season. Yeah, about that. Sorry. Your first question is, who is someone that should have won a Rumble but never did? Chris Jericho. In particular, in 2012, over Sheamus. Why was Sheamus such a big fucking deal? Because he was Triple H's workout partner? He's not that great back then. He's gotten good, but Jericho had all those promos saying the world's gonna end and blah, 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 and second coming and all this, with this creepy kid at the desk walking around the school just to lose to Sheamus. Okay. Anyway, I digress. Your second question. What Rumble winner made you question why they were chosen to win? We go back a year. Alberto Del Rio in 2011. Why? That's a legit question. Why? Why notable prick Alberto Del Rio over that entire roster? Hell, I would have taken fucking John Cena again over fucking Del Rio. He was so overpushed. And he did not warrant a push. He might be the most boring main eventer I've ever seen. Main eventer. Air quotes. Like, Jesus Christ. I would have taken Santino, the guy he eliminated, last over him. Because that spot where he's, doing the Cobra, and he's like, oh, please let me win. Boom, hits him, and then, they have Del Rio toss him out. Like, just give it to Santino at that point. Why the fuck not at this point? But Del Rio? Ugh. Ugh. No, thank you. And your third question was, what would you say are AEW and WWE's strengths and weaknesses? I already covered AEW's strengths and weaknesses, so I'm not going to cover them here. If you missed that, rewind about maybe 20 minutes, I think it was, and go listen to that. But I will cover WWE strengths and weaknesses right now. In terms of WWE strengths, number one with a bullet right now is they have a shit ton of talent who are mega over with the fans, especially the live crowds. You can see them on the screen right here. People like Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Bayley, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley. Just the people on the screen right now are just some of them. It's not even all of them. This is just the main guys and girls that are over. So much talent that's over right now. It's fucking nuts. Second thing, more long-term stories being built more often, especially since Vince McMahon is no longer in power. You've got the stuff with Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes and now The Rock, the slap heard around the world. You've got shit like, well, you can see it on the screen. I can't remember what I put on the screen right now. I think it was the stuff with McIntyre and Punk, and then you've got like stuff with Seth Rollins. You've got the stuff with the Usos, the Bloodline. All these stories that have been built. Stuff with Damage Control. That's the one I was thinking of. Like stuff with Bayley getting turned on by Damage Control. All that stuff. It's so much to remember. But goddamn, it's so fun to watch. And something that was brought up earlier in a different question, their production value. It's second to none in the wrestling business. It really is. They were one of the first ones to use HD in the wrestling business. I think TNA did it before them, though. Just the staging, the lighting, just the video packages, just everything. It's just so well produced, and they just get better year after year. That I don't know what else to say. It's fantastic watching the show. Like, it looks good. In terms of their weaknesses, poor leadership, especially in corporate. Obviously, we all know what came out recently about people like Vince McMahon and Johnny Ace, John Laurinaitis, and that whole thing that went down with them, and some of the female staff. That's all I'm going to say about that. Just poor leadership when it comes to the people in charge in the corporate offices. And something else that I consider a weakness, hasn't really been that bad over the last year or two. Only now it seems like it's coming back a little bit. Over-reliance on legends and part-timers. Guys like The Rock, Goldberg, Cena, Undertaker, Brock Lesnar, these guys. like I said, it's not so much now as much as it was, well, geez, even 3-4 years ago. But WWE doesn't need to rely on these guys anymore. They have a good crop of young talent that are still in their primes, and some that are just getting into the business. They're still green, but they're working their asses off to get better. You don't need to rely on all these part-timers and legends anymore. You can have them show up, do a promo here and there, maybe rub off on some of the younger talent, give them the rub, but you don't need them in main event matches. You don't need Goldberg and Lesnar going out there and wrestling in the main event of a Survivor Series anymore. You've got homegrown talent, young homegrown talent, that are more than capable of selling out, WrestleMania 40, Dwayne. I cannot believe he shoehorned himself into WrestleMania. He had the balls to claim that now that he's back, wrestling hasn't been as hot. WrestleMania hasn't been as hot as it is now that he's back. Are you fucking kidding me? Last year was the highest grossing WrestleMania ever, and you weren't there, Dwayne. WWE doesn't need you. You need WWE. Okay? Especially after Black Adam fucking sucked. Fucking piece of shit movie. Anyway, thank you for the questions, Matt. I appreciate it. The next questions are from Quentin Valentine Petrov. I hope I said that right. Thank you for your questions in advance. First question is, thoughts and opinion on Michael Cole's commentary ever since the summer of 2022, when Triple H first took over as head of creative, and how would you rate his commentary out of 10? Michael Cole somehow went from the most despised color commentator maybe ever in the early 2010s to genuinely being my favorite commentator right now. His partnership with Pat McAfee on Raw, especially now, is the stuff that dreams are made of. He's clearly having fun with his job now. He doesn't have crazy old senile Vince McMahon screaming in his head set every night anymore. You can tell he's being more of himself now. He's been fantastic. Not perfect. He still has his moments, but he is fantastic. If I had to give him, if I had to rate his commentary out of 10, I'd give him an 8.5, maybe a 9. I'll probably stick with 8.5, because there's always room for improvement with him, but he's been fantastic. He really has, especially when he's with Pat McAfee. And your second question, Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt for the WWE title, or Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. Which one of these matches from WrestleMania 33 do you believe did not need to be for a championship and probably would have been better off as a regular 1v1 match without a title involved? Both of them, but if I have to pick one, probably be Goldberg and Lesnar. Once again, that's two part-timers who did not need that championship. Goldberg did not need to beat Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho should have been the Universal title main event. Okay? And if Goldberg never beats Kevin Owens for that belt, he doesn't lose it to Lesnar, and we don't have a 500-day title reign where Lesnar defends it, 4 times? Lesnar doesn't get that stranglehold on the belt. So, that's the one that I'm going with. Thank you for your questions, though. I do appreciate it. Next pair of questions are from Tom Cruise and the Coast. Thank you, Tom. Your first question is best match you've seen in person. I haven't really been to a lot of wrestling shows, but the best match I do remember seeing live was Randy Orton and Chris Benoit from the January 13th, 2006 episode of SmackDown. It was in, I believe it was Philadelphia. It was Trenton or Philadelphia. One of those two, because those are the only two places I've ever been to a live wrestling show. I can't remember where it was. I think it was Philadelphia. But it was match 7, I think, of the Best of 7 series for the U.S. title, where Booker T got hurt and Randy Orton was the substitute for the match and all that. The match was fantastic. Absolutely phenomenal. I think they went like 25 minutes. Oh, hidden gem in both guys' careers. Seek it out. It's fucking great, especially for a TV match. And your second question, worst match you've seen in person. I don't really know how to answer that. Like I said, I haven't been to too many shows. And the shows I have gone to that weren't televised, at least, I don't really remember the matches themselves. It was more about me making memories with my brother and my asshole father. It was more about, spending time with my brother and my dad. So I don't really remember a lot of those matches. If we can go with the worst thing I've seen in person, from that same SmackDown, Piper's Pit with JBL and Jillian Hall, where the Boogeyman came out and he ate that mole off her face. Yeah, I was there live for that, and it's just as gross in person. Oh, God. I can't even think about it right now. It's making me sick. Anyway. Thank you for the questions, brother. I appreciate it. Let's quickly move on off of that topic. Holy shit. Next pair of questions are from Mimi45. Thank you for the questions. Your first question is, what were your thoughts on NXT 2.0 before they changed it back to plain NXT? It felt lame at first, but over time, gimmicks and the wrestlers grew on me. They've, you could see their maturation over the past year or two. And the show has gotten better over time. A lot of great matches have come out of the NXT 2.0 era / the current era of NXT. I really am optimistic for this version of the NXT brand. And your second question is, what are your dream main events for WrestleMania 40 both nights? Night 1, it's got to be Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre for that world title. It's got to be. And night 2, we need Cody to beat Roman for that belt. He should have did it last year, but if he has to do it, if he has to wait another year to do it, I hope they do it this year. I really fucking do. Get that belt off of Roman Reigns as soon as possible. I'm tired of hearing, 1,200 days, 1,300, whatever. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. If you're not going to defend it, but 3 times a year anymore, then it doesn't really matter how long you're the champion. You're just padding your numbers at that point, Roman, okay? You were good at the end of 2020 and 2021, even in the beginning of 2022. Then you became a part-timer, and we didn't see you for months at a time. And ever since then, been into a nosedive, dude. Like, seriously. Yeah, you're still the main eventer, you're still the champion, but goddamn, your storylines all the fucking same now. Cody, take that belt, finish your story, put him out of his fucking misery, please. Thank you for the questions, my guy. I appreciate it. Next set of questions are from Elijah Clark, 1916. Thank you, Elijah. First question is, who across any promotion do you see winning their first world title this year? I talked about him early on in the Q&A, and I'm going to bring him up again. Fucking Swerve Strickland. Not only should, but he fucking better win that AEW world title this year. I want Swerve as world champion. I want it. A lot of people want it. Make it happen, Tony. Make it happen. Question 2. With the news of Okada leaving New Japan, who do you believe will become New Japan's next ace? From the way he's been booked as of the past 6 months to a year, probably someone like a Shota Umino. You know, he's got the Jon Moxley thumbs up. He's got the look of a Tanahashi. You know, he's working his own kind of style in the ring, separate from a Tanahashi. Excuse me, a more modern Japanese style as opposed to, you know, the strong style of old, you know, the old guard with guys like Tanahashi and the lot that came up with alongside Tanahashi. So I would probably go with the shooter, Shota Umino. I don't really see anybody else being the ace besides him, honestly. Thank you for your questions, though, man. I do appreciate it. And the final 2 questions are from Casey Morgan. Thank you, Casey. He says both of these questions are related to Mercedes Monae. I can't say I'm surprised. You might be one of the biggest Mercedes Monae / Sasha Banks fans that I know. So, here we go. Your first question is, what is your honest opinion on her 4.5-month run in New Japan Pro Wrestling that started last year before she unfortunately got injured at Resurgence last May? I'll say that while she only had 5 matches, 4 of which you can see on the screen. While she had 5 matches, 4 of which you can see, and her matches were pretty good. She had a few. I think she had 1 or 2 really great matches, and then the other ones were just average to slightly above average. I feel like she didn't really fit into the Japanese style. Everything she did just felt forced, you know, like the thing where she's playing that little like ukulele sized guitar, the little kid guitar, and she's making up like songs like "My You Sucks," like all that. It felt forced. It felt like something that she would have done in a Vince McMahon world, you know, in WWE. It felt like a WWE segment. Every time she talked at a press conference, every time she cut a promo, it just felt like she wanted to be back in WWE. It felt forced. It felt fake. Whatever you want to call it. She didn't fit. She didn't fit in the Japanese style. That's my brutal, honest opinion. And question 2, if she's going to AEW, which I think we all think she's going to be AEW big business. Who are the 5 opponents that you would love to see Mercedes face? As you can see on the screen, I have made my selections. Jamie Hayter, Britt Baker, Deonna Purrazzo, Thunder Rosa, and Chris Statlander. These 5 women all work significantly different styles from each other. Jamie Hayter is a fucking powerhouse. She is so giftedly talented, but also she's a bruiser, especially in the women's division. Britt Baker, kind of a hybrid. She can do pretty much anything, really. I'm not saying she's great at doing everything, but she can do everything. Deonna Purrazzo, one of the best technical women's wrestlers in the world. Thunder Rosa works quasi Lucha Libre style. Not really Lucha Libre style, but she incorporates parts of it into her wrestling while also using a modern American style. And Chris Statlander is just a hybrid athlete. She can do a little bit of everything. And she's fucking great. I love Statlander. And I would love to see her, along with these other 4 women, fight Mercedes Monae if and when she comes to AEW. Thank you for the questions, Casey. And thank everybody who left me questions this month. I really, really appreciate it. Like I said, excuse me. Like I said at the beginning, I apologize for being late. And I apologize that I won't be able to do this every month like I wanted to do. I thought I could. I thought I would have the time. Turns out I really don't. And that's on me. You know, I tried to take on more work than I really had the time for. And I apologize for that. I apologize to you guys for not having this out when I wanted to have it out. But I'm not going to put myself on a time limit anymore. I'm not going to force myself to have things done when I want them to have them done. I'm going to do videos when I want to do them. And that's just the way it's going to be from now on. So I'll let you guys know when I'm going to want to do the next Q&A, when I'm going to have the free time. Excuse me. I've been talking for an hour, so my throat is dry. Anyway, that being said, I'll let you guys know when the next Q&A is. I'll post it on the community tab. And with that being said, my name is Art. And I'm going to get the fuck out of here because I feel like I've been rambling way too fucking long. So I will see you in the next video. Peace.